That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years.
No, nothing really comes to mind. I was like, cha-ching. Listen, they're bitter, they're angry, they're entitled. They also should be, this should have been a reset for everyone who pushed lies and misinformation for the last, they call them Hitler, they call these things, America rejected them. And instead of coming back and saying, we lied, they instead are now doubling down. So let her keep doing it, because if she keeps that up, we're going to keep getting the Senate and probably the House and the White House, because people see right through your lies. So keep doing what you're doing. Game ball to Sunny.
Every once in a while, television produces a moment that refuses to stay inside the studio. The cameras stop rolling, the hosts move on to the next topic. Yet, the conversation only grows louder. That's exactly what happened after separate broadcasts featuring Sunny Hostin, Greg Gutfeld, and Tyrus unexpectedly collided in the court of public opinion. They never faced one another across the same desk, but their competing viewpoints eventually met where every modern media battle now unfolds: online. Within hours, clips from both shows were spreading across social media feeds, sparking heated arguments over whose perspective carried more weight.
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners.
It all started with what seemed like a familiar segment on daytime television. Sunny Hostin joined her fellow panelists and introduced a discussion with the confidence audiences have come to expect from her. The conversation unfolded in the usual rhythm, touching on issues that regularly divide opinion. Meanwhile, in an entirely different studio, Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus would later explore many of those same themes through a completely different lens.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate
that unexpected overlap is what captured so much attention. Instead of matching emotion with emotion, Gutfeld relied on sharp humor, sarcasm, and pointed criticism to challenge ideas he believed deserved more scrutiny. Tyrus, on the other hand, took a calmer approach, offering reflections shaped by his own experiences rather than theatrical confrontation. Their responses resonated strongly with one audience while frustrating another, and before long, short clips from both broadcasts were circulating everywhere.
Sure, all that, and the price of butter. Sunny gets the game ball. If it wasn't for her, asking that question, it might have been a closer election. But when nothing really comes to mind, I was like, cha-ching. Listen, they're bitter, they're angry, they're entitled. They also should be, this should have been a reset for everyone who pushed lies and misinformation for the last, they call them Hitler, they call these things, America rejected them. And instead of coming back and saying, we lied, they instead are now doubling down.
To understand why the reaction became so intense, it's important to recognize Sunny Hostin's role in today's media landscape. Over the years, she has built a reputation as one of daytime television's most outspoken voices, rarely hesitating to defend her opinions on politically charged topics. Admirers see that confidence as one of her greatest strengths, while critics argue it often leaves little space for opposing viewpoints.
Brains are small, but who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now, The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter. So instead, let's check out this clip from Monday's episode of The View when the ladies put their science caps on and discuss the solar eclipse.
The conversation that ignited the latest wave of reactions centered on one of America's most emotionally charged subjects: crime, policing, and public safety. During the discussion, Hostin outlined her perspective while her co-hosts added their own viewpoints, creating a familiar exchange for regular viewers. But once selected clips escaped the confines of daytime television and landed on social media, the debate expanded dramatically. Commentators from every corner of the political spectrum began dissecting not only what was said, but also the assumptions behind each argument.
Oh no, nothing really comes to mind. I was like, cha-ching. Listen, they're bitter, they're angry, they're entitled. They also should be, this should have been a reset for everyone who pushed lies and misinformation for the last, they call them Hitler, they call these things, America rejected them. And instead of coming back and saying, we lied, they instead are now doubling down. So let her keep doing it, because if she keeps that up, we're going to keep getting the Senate and probably the House and the White House, because people see right through your lies. So keep doing what you're doing. Game ball.
When Greg Gutfeld addressed the topic on his own program, he avoided replaying this original exchange line by line. Instead, he challenged what he believed was a gap between political messaging and the experiences of people dealing with crime in their everyday lives. Using his signature mix of satire and criticism, he questioned whether certain public narratives reflected realities outside television studios. Many viewers applauded that approach, arguing he raised concerns that deserved attention. Others felt his conclusions simplified an issue that is far more complex than a few minutes of commentary could capture.
I think that women, white women in particular, want to protect the patriarchy here because it's to their benefit. Yeah. They want to make sure that their husbands do well. They want to make sure that their sons do well. They want to make sure that their children do well. And they want to make sure that they do well. Most of the women in some of these studies are married white women, and they do fall in line with what their husbands are doing.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions? Yeah. Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full race.
Tyrus approached the same discussion from a noticeably different angle. Rather than relying on punchlines or dramatic language, he focused on practical questions surrounding community safety and personal responsibility. Drawing from his own experiences, he encouraged viewers to think about how public officials and media personalities balance policy positions with the realities people face in their daily lives. His measured delivery appealed to many who appreciated a calmer style of analysis, while critics challenged both his assumptions and the broader conclusions he reached. Regardless of where people stood, his comments added another layer to an already growing debate.
It's not even that. In The View, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. Mm-hmm. So the racist ones who want to stick to this, Whoopi and Sunny, and was it Bette Midler? What's her name? Yeah, broke-ass Bette Midler. Fire them and bring people in. Maybe you could get McCain to come back.
As more clips continued appearing across the internet, the focus gradually shifted away from the original issue itself. Audiences weren't just comparing opinions anymore, they were comparing presentation styles, credibility, and communication. Some praised Hostin for remaining consistent and unapologetic in defending her beliefs despite criticism. Others argued that Gutfeld and Tyrus had successfully exposed what they viewed as weaknesses in her reasoning.
The problem is that you have to go after the racist people. And if the CEO goes, you know what, I'm not going to allow a woman on my show, or man, that will go after white America and talk about them like dogs. That doesn't represent our ideals or values for anyone. And get rid of those people, and this will clear up real quick. So do you have to actually look in the mirror and clean up your own backyard and get the racist people out? Because that's who you allowed in. You allowed black racist on TV who could just go all day and say anything about white people. And I guess lo and behold, they forgot that there's a lot of people at home, white people at home during the day, that are not watching your show anymore. So just clean it up.
Once the discussion gained momentum online, it developed a life far beyond television. Short video clips appeared across YouTube, TikTok, X, Facebook, and countless reaction channels, each presenting the exchange through a different lens. Some creators highlighted Hostin's comments as the defining moment, while others focused on Gutfeld's humor or Tyrus's observations. Every edit emphasized a different takeaway, allowing audiences to interpret the same event in completely different ways.
Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
The viral response also exposed a bigger truth about modern media. Television is no longer competing solely for viewers during a scheduled broadcast, it's competing for attention in the endless stream of social media content. A carefully selected 30-second clip can influence public opinion far more than an entire hour-long discussion. As millions of people watched, shared, and debated the footage, the focus gradually shifted away from the original topic and toward larger questions about trust, persuasion, and the power of media narratives. In many respects, the online reaction became just as significant as the programs that sparked it.
So that makes Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by the view's gravitational pull.
The episode also highlighted the growing divide between different approaches to political commentary. Daytime panel shows typically encourage discussion among multiple hosts with varying viewpoints, while opinion-driven programs often rely on direct criticism, satire, and strong counter-arguments to engage their audiences. Neither format is designed to appeal to everyone, yet both have built loyal followings by offering distinctly different styles of analysis. When clips from these worlds collide online, viewers are presented with competing interpretations of the same issues, leaving each person to decide which arguments they find more persuasive.
Of this, will she continue to do that when she is now one of them, Dana? And it is funny, she is so wrapped up in identity and she had no idea who she was.
Whether audiences ultimately agreed with Sunny Hostin, Greg Gutfeld, Tyrus, or none of them at all, one thing became impossible to ignore. This discussion grew into something much larger than a few minutes of television. It became another example of how media, politics, and social platforms now work together to shape public conversation in real time. The programs will continue, new debates will emerge, and commentators will keep challenging one another's ideas. But every so often, a single exchange captures enough attention to become part of a much broader cultural moment. This was one of those occasions, not because it produced universal agreement, but because it demonstrated how quickly a televised discussion can evolve into a nationwide conversation that continues long after the cameras stop recording.